Okay, we've got the sections painted, and what I did was, over here I added a little bit more of a hump at the top, as if it is going down towards that stem. Same thing on this side. I brought that little hump area up just a little bit more. Just so it gives that illusion that the sections are going down towards that stem. And I notice this section is a little wider than this one. And if I'm being picky, which you know sometimes I am, I'm just going to make that come out a little bit fatter. See, that's one of the things when you become very comfortable with drawing out your painting using paint, a script liner or a mid liner brush, then, you know, something as simple like a pumpkin, you can play with it and, you know, make it a little more, less cattywampus. Or not. While we have our dark brown paint, again, I'm using that burnt sienna, but you can use any brown. Using the number 5 round brush, I'm going to come in here and let's just paint that stem real quick, get a base coat on it. Anytime y'all are welcome to give me comments on my Facebook page or on my YouTube page of something you'd like to see us work on. Now I know Lisa wants to work on a rock, so we're going to do that really soon. And a rock surface, basically. Not sure yet what we're going to put on it. We'll see, though. Again, just moving your surface around so you can get those little corners. Now, that's okay. I thought I messed it up right there, but I don't think so. I think I'm going to bring that stem down a little bit more. Yeah, I like that. I think that'll work. Rinsing my brush off. Okay, funny side story. Back in the day when I was learning how to paint, I had a small work table in my master bedroom, and it was back when my husband was around. And at night, I'd wake up and just want to work on a project. And he'd always tell me, it's okay, just go over there and work on it. Of course, all the kids would be asleep in the house. And so sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night and turn my little work lamp on and just start working away. And then one night, he scared the fire out of me. I thought he was sound asleep. And it was like, I would be doing this and forget that he was asleep in the room. And so it would make that ting, ting, ting noise. And he yells out, stop hitting that cup. Something to that effect. Of course, I about jumped out of my skin. I turned the work light off and went to bed. Okay. I think this is good and dry. Now we're going to start adding some color to it. All I'm doing right now at the moment is going over some of those dark lines. I really don't want those quite to show up. Now you could go over your pumpkin one more time and give it a perfect coverage. Right now it's kind of looking splotchy with all these different colors in there, and I'm good with that. I don't want perfect lines showing up in the sections of the pumpkin, so I'm going to go over just where those lines are showing up. But the splotchy part, we're gonna leave. Okay, again with your palette, you should have a little bit of orange, a little bit of yellow, the peach, and the burnt sienna. I'm checking my palette right now, make sure my orange is still moist. See, it's sticky. That's what I've been talking about. We need to add water to that. But I have an overhead fan going. And in Texas, there's no other way. So I fight the fan quite a bit, but having it on and keeping my paints moist. So we're just gonna add a little bit of water. And it looks like I need to do the same with that yellow. Yeah, you can see how thick it is. Is that dry? Yes, it is. So adding just a little bit of water to my yellow by taking my scruffy brush and touching the water. I've seen people with little squirt bottles or sprays. You know, that works too. Okay, that's nice and wet. I won't have to struggle so much getting paint on here. Let's go ahead and check that brown real quick. This is the part that we're coming to that's going to be where we're blending. We're applying the paint and then we're going to blend some of those colors together. So you want to have your paints all nice and wet, stirred well, so they're ready to go. And then you can get your scruffy brush, one of your small ones, and get that one damp. Okay, palette good to go. Almost, I'm sorry. Let's get that white. Again, my water's a little dirty with paint, but that's okay. Once you stir that white up, anybody want a cat? I got several. Let's see here. Oh, there it is. Now to my little scruffy brush. Again, I'm using, I do believe it's probably a 2 or 3 round brush, and it's just a brush that's gone bad, but you don't throw them away because they are great for blending. They are great for stirring paint. You want to get it wet. Make sure you don't have any water on the silver. Okay, we're good to go. So, even though this background is the sun overhead, I'm going to start bringing in my lighter shades right here, my medium shade about in the middle, and then my darker shade right close to that line. So you get that feel of light, medium, and dark where it's crevice, the section is kind of caving towards that center line. I know, let's just show you how it's done. It's easier to learn when you're seeing it happen. So I'm using a little bit of that peach that I painted the background with. And you need a little bit of paint. Let me put a little bit more on here because you got to give yourself enough paint to work with. All I did was wipe my brush off. No need to wash it. Wash it. I know I've had people make fun of me how I say wash. A little bit of orange. Give me some paint to work with. Wipe off my brush, grab a little bit of that dark, put it right next to that crevice. And again, we're doing the same thing. It's light to dark. So pounce your brush on the light part. Go down into the orange and then work your way right to the dark. Rinse your brush. Do this section here, a little bit of light, going into the orange, going into the dark. Rinse your brush. I'm gonna break that up a little bit more. You just go over it, dancing that brush around while the paint is still wet. Yeah, you need to go on, Mouthy. Cat coming by to say hello. All right, grabbing that peach. Wipe the brush, grab some orange, and we'll go over the orange one more time. It'll get stronger here. Grabbing some of that brown. On the peach, into the orange, into the brown. Rinse my brush. I want to marry the peach and the orange together and then work my way down into that brown. Don't want a perfect line. So, let's grab a little bit more of the orange. Let's break that brown up a little bit more, because the paint is still wet. I'll turn this a little bit. So I can get to that crevice. I need it to be a little bit of a shadow of that, to make that look like a section. All right, that's working up. And again, it's still wet, so I can still play with it. I've got a damp brush going on here. We're gonna grab a little bit of that orange again. And just stroke that deep brown kind of back into the crack where it belongs. There we go. Okay, see how that's coming out here? It's still damp. I'm just going to dance that off. Now don't let this project intimidate anybody. All it does is take a little bit of practice and you'll have it down. Adding a little bit of orange, because that peach is really going to stop about midsection. So I'm going to bring this orange there. And if you notice, orange is so translucent, we're not getting a good coverage yet. But as we build up on it, you will. Bringing that orange all the way down and on the side. Because down towards the base of this pumpkin is going to be a little bit darker. It's like it's a shadow where it's sitting. Grab a little bit of that brown and let's just fill in that spot. Turning your work. From the light to the dark. Just tapping that slightly. I don't want to lose those colors. All right, add a little bit more orange up here. I don't want that peach coming down near as far as I've taken it. Just a little bit of orange. Just lightly dance. pounce that brush. All right, we're gonna let that dry. We'll start on the next one. Again, we're gonna do peach in this area up here because it's catching the light. And by doing peach here, which is a light color, it's going to cause that crevice to absolutely go in. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna make it crease. All right, grabbing some peach. And that's why you need a good point on your round brush. See how nice that is? You can get really close. Let's put enough on there. Grab a little bit of orange. You're gonna put that right about in the middle. Again, you're not seeing a huge difference between those colors because that orange is so translucent, but you will as we build up. Put a little bit of that burnt sienna or brown there. And while it's still wet, we're going to go from the light, building our brush with some of that paint, go towards the orange, then go towards the brown. And even if you cross over this line here, that's okay because when we do peach here, it's going to cover up any mistakes that you have. All right, I'm going to come at it at this direction. Rinsing my dancing brush off, and it's moist. I'm just going to beat on that just a little bit. That way, that line becomes more of a shadow. A little bit more water. Okay, let's do peach a little bit, just a little bit further down. Notice I can get really close and start making that perfect line disappear on that section. Yeah, let's just do that again. So, in other words, I don't want to see, I mean, you can and it won't hurt the painting, but I don't want to see a perfect line there. I rather see this smearing, I guess you could say, or shadowing of the brown. All I'm doing is dancing over that peach, wiping my brush, grab the orange. Let's take that right down the middle. I'm not going to add much peach anymore towards the middle to the bottom of the pumpkin, so we're just going to do all that in orange. Now let's give us a little bit of that brown. Take it down. Don't go too far because it'll dry before the time you get to it. All right, peach into the orange. I need more peach color because I want, or orange color coming out this direction. So I wipe my brush. I'll dance it into that brown color. Just breaks it up a little bit. Wipe my brush, grab some of that orange, go right into that brown. This is that part where you just play with it a little bit. You can get that paint to still move if your dancing brush or blending brush is moist. Little short strokes. See, it's way darker right here than right here, so I may add a little bit more here in a minute of the brown. Okay. Now we're getting at the base, so it's all going to be pretty much that brown color. So fill that segment at the base with the brown. And the orange I've applied is still wet, but we'll add a little bit more. I wash my brush, grab the orange. Now, dancing my brush in the orange and then go down to the brown. Let's add a little bit more brown right there where I overworked it. So here's some brown, a little bit of orange. Fill my brush with the orange, the light, and go towards the dark. Rinse my brush. All I'm doing is breaking up the paint color. Okay. I'm going to do these next two sections offline, and then I'll come back on and we'll do that last one together. Plus I got a cat to put away.